Before we begin this super fun episode, we want to introduce you to an awesome new podcast from one of our past guests, the multiracial superstar, Sharon Mariguez. Peace, Planks, and Prana is dedicated to the yoga experience for students, teachers, and anyone curious about connecting body, breath, and mind. Hosts Melissa Payne Bradley and Sharon Nariz Mariguez explore yoga's physical, energetic, and cultural aspects. Peace represents unity and community, Planks represents the physical practice, and Prana represents the life force connecting us all. Topics include navigating our relationship with our bodies, finding your voice as a teacher, and maintaining a gratitude practice, and so many more awesome topics. Find Peace, Planks, and Prana on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Go check it out today and subscribe.
But one thing my dad did teach me early on with racism was this when I was about 6 years old. I was at the school and there's a kid. His name was RJ.
Is this in the private school?
Yeah,
where it was more
school.
Okay.
Public school. It was cool. It was like it felt like you could hold your own. It was like everyone roasting each other. But here it was just like you get picked on because you know your culture or your color or whatever.
Yeah.
When I was 5 or 6 years old, this kid RJ was like, I was like, I want to play with you. He's like, I don't want to play with you. Why not? And he looked at like, he was trying to find something to find out, and he couldn't think of something, so he looked at me and was like, I don't want to play with you because you're brown. Now, I didn't take it in a bad way. I took it as he could not find, he just didn't want to play with me. He had to find a reason. But I told that story to my dad, and he was like, you know, son, like, there's a level of like, what people learn later in life is called racism. People won't like you because of a skin color. It doesn't make any sense, but let me tell you some real stuff. You know, white people tan their skin to be your color. White people inject their lips to have your type of lips. White people do all this type of stuff to be your color. So at the end of the day, they really want to be like you. So you should never hate your skin color, this and that. And he's like, and what I want to teach you is that people are just people. I don't want to teach you hate because that's what they would teach me where I grew up at. Oh, he called you that? Well, you know what? You got to call it this and this and go on.
Yeah.
You can't have hate going on hate. So you have to listen that people are human and they're going to challenge you on your differences. And you have to learn to just be like, you know, hey, hold your own, but you ain't got to fight that battle the same way.
Yeah.
I always try to go with my mind.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Multiracialverse podcast. Today's guest is the always charismatic and multi-talented Manny Williams, a force of nature whose unique perspective as a Black and East Indian creator brings both depths and vibrancy to every project he touches. With a mother from Kerala, India, and a father from Michigan, Manny has spent his life navigating the rich complexities of his multicultural and interfaith upbringing, a journey that's as challenging as it is illuminating. Manny's dynamic energy shines across many platforms. He's a seasoned content creator, a masterful producer, and the visionary behind Akiyoshi, a bold clothing and visual arts brand that champions self-expression and breaks traditional molds. He's also the author of From Novice to Ninja, a UGC creator's guidebook, a must-have resource for aspiring creators to build their brand and thrive in the digital space. In this heartfelt and laugh-filled episode, Manny opens up about the delicate art of walking the line between cultures, faiths, and creative identities. With humor, sincerity, and a dash of wisdom, he dives into the challenges of being multiracial, how his upbringing shaped his outlook, and how he uses his platform to inspire others to embrace their authentic self. Get ready for a conversation that's as thought-provoking as it is uplifting. Let's dive in.
Manny, welcome to the Multiracialverse. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing today?
I am doing pretty well. I'm actually doing really well just because this is something that I haven't tried, is that I reached out to you and haven't done a ton of research. You sent me some information this morning, and I've been tracking your mixed messages on Instagram and enjoying that. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'm just going to hit him up. He seems like he might be the type of person that's, might jump on, fly by the seat of your pants sometimes. And yeah, you said, hey, let's meet up. And I really appreciate you making time, and you didn't have to drive all the way out to Riverside, right?
You said Riverside, so I was like, that's a drive, but I mean, we gonna do it.
I was like, this guy's awesome, and he's like willing to do it, you know. And I've done that drive a lot of times. I used to have a son who lived in Elsinore, so I would drive from Sherman Oaks to Elsinore on the weekends, man, and it's a slog. So yeah, right on. Awesome. Well, let's learn about you. Yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's talk about your journey through the lens of your identity, and let's just start with your parents and where you were born.
All right, bet. So my name is Mannie Williams. I'm actually from Redford, Michigan, or Detroit for those that don't know where that's at. And, so growing up, my dad is African-American, grew up in Detroit. My mom is from Kerala, India. She came over here when she was 8 years old, and she grew up, learned her stuff. My dad grew up with this stuff. And how they ended up meeting was my dad's sister. She was working with my mom at the hospital. And so she was like, hey, you want to go to the club? And my mom's like, what's the club? Like, I don't know what to do. So, you know, my aunt invited my mom, and, they're at the club. My dad happened to be there. And then he saw my mom from the back, and he said I saw like long hair, nice legs. And I was like, yeah, I'm married. And you know, they've been married for about 33 years now. So.
Wow, that's awesome. And I do know Kerala because my college roommates is from there, and I know they call it God's country. And maybe, I don't know if you've been there. I've not been there yet, but I hear it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm making a plan. I want to go there so much. Like, my grandma was like, yeah, I'm going for 4 months. You going for 4 months. Not a week, 4 months.
Yeah, it takes about a week to travel there, you know. So.
You know, you gotta get used to a sleep schedule.
Yeah. So you know, let's a little bit about your parents. Did they run into any static from family members or anything like that when they were dating?
Oh yeah. It was a fascinating story. So my dad, as he retold it to me, he was like, yeah, I loved your mom. I liked her. You know, we started dating and stuff like that. And then when we call him my Uppacha, he called him Papa Joe, my mom's dad. He's like, yeah, when Papa Joe was over there, like he wasn't really messing around with none of that. He was like, what you mean? Like, you try to date my daughter? So apparently what happened was he told a lie and told my dad, yeah, your mom or Minty, she ended up moving back to India to marry an Indian boy. And my dad was like, wait, what? And, you know, it's kind of hard because they only had payphones back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like you could Facebook somebody. So it was like he had to take his word. Like, she did what? Yeah. And he was like heartbroken for months and everything like that. He was all, you know, depressed, sipping on some Mad Dog 2020, the old school stuff. And so I believe he was like talking to one of his friends, and he was like, why don't you just call the number, bro? And he was like, all right. So he called the number, and my mom answered, and my dad's like, yeah, what's up? What's going on? Thought you went to India. No, who told you that? My dad was like, man, for real? So
yeah.
They ended up rekindling after that, but my mother became a bit of a black sheep. My dad. So on her side, like, they really were just kind of like, just not really vibing with her in a good way.
Was she supposed to have an arranged marriage at some point? Did she say that?
No, she never told me that she's supposed to have an arranged marriage. My mom was a little rebellious. Like, she was a good person. She wanted to do this, but she was like, I want to live life doing what I want to do. Like, I respect, I get this, but I don't like this set path y'all trying to put me on.
Yeah,
I mean, you know how it is. It's like, you're either going to be a doctor, or you're going to be an engineer, lawyer, because, you know, the culture needs security. You say, I want to be an artist. They make no money. So, you know, so she kind of want to, like, you know, pursue her own way and stuff like that.
So you have siblings? Are you the only sibling? Are you the only child, or?
No, I have a younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's bigger than me. Like,
and were you raised in the Michigan and what'd you say, Redmond?
Oh, Redford.
Apologies. Yeah. Were you raised there?
Yeah, well, it started off that I was raised in Detroit, and then we moved to Warren, Michigan, more of a suburban area. And we moved back to Detroit again, and then my dad moved to Redford. And the funny part about Redford is, like, it's so close to Detroit that I crossed the street every time I was in Detroit. So I can get away with it. I can say I literally crossed the street.
And what was the household like as far as culture? Was your mom rebellious in the sense that she pulled away from her culture, the food, things like that?
No. She still made the food. She did all that stuff. It was like, I don't live life my way. This is marrying, and, you know, we got 2 kids. So, like, the friction kind of went away when they had me and my brother. So it's like, well, we got the kids. So, I mean, and, you know, both sides of the family loved us like so much. Me and my brother, the Indian side, black side. So I grew up more around the Indian side, and then my mom and my dad a lot more. I got to meet some of my dad's side of the family, but he was more like, yeah, I don't want y'all meeting that side of the family too much. Well, what's wrong? It's like, let's just say they kind of streak. You know, around the environment, you might see some things you don't need to be seeing. I try to get you away from that. Yeah. So I was like, makes sense. Get it. So, on the extended side of the family, it was more of, my Indian side that I was around, a couple of my grandpa on both ends. And so, yeah, it was a nice little vibe, but for the most part, it was just me, my brother, my mom, my dad. That was kind of the main core thing right there.
And did your mom's family live in the area, or like which part of your mom's family lived in the area?
They lived in Warren. So
okay,
it's like 20, 30 minutes away, you know, that kind of vibe. So like they lived in Warren, Troy, Michigan, more of the suburban areas, you know, a couple spots that have a Whole Foods, Rochester Hill. It's like, oh, y'all were there. Yeah, we on this side. So yeah, it was, but I made sure I learned a lot about Indian food. Like that's what I was just eating. My grandma, she'd make so much Indian food. And then my mom would actually make Indian food. And I was like, oh, this is the best. And then my dad would like get in the kitchen and make some soul food. You ever had some chitlins? I'm like, what's that? And it was like pig intestines. So I was like, I'll try. I don't like chitlins. In a black household, you just know that smell like someone making chitlins. That smell is so distinct. So yeah. It was interesting. Soul food on one side and then Indian food. So, you know, soul and spice.
Was your mom's family vegetarian?
Not at all. They ate whatever.
Yeah.
My uppercut, he was so hardcore. So like we had these rabbits, right? And it was downstairs and we played with them. We gave them names and everything like that. That's Shadow and that's Bunny. And, you know, we played with them. And I don't know, about a couple months later, you know, we come downstairs and Shadow and Bunny was gone. It was like, where'd they go? And so, you know, we eat some food. I'm like, this curry is on point. And so I found out that was Shadow and Bunny. And I was like, I don't know how to feel because this stuff is flopping right now. But dang, so we ate whatever.
Yeah. You made do, as they say, right?
It was good.
So was there religion in your household at all?
It was more Christianity. So what I learned was that more of the Southern Indians, or at least in Kerala, were more Christian. So I was looking like, okay, that makes sense why y'all got last names like Joseph and Abraham and stuff like that. So when I figured that out, I was like, okay, but yeah, we're more Christian based. It's a little interesting though, because you know, my dad, he was my mom was Christian, my dad's Jehovah's Witness. I'm being told that, you know, Jesus died this way, that he died this way.
Yeah.
I'm over here like, y'all arguing, but I'm over here like he still died regardless. That's the main message. But yeah, so it was interesting.
Yeah. So how did that play out as a child, as far as you see your parents, you interact with both sides, you're at school, our demographics, obviously Detroit has a pretty big African American Black population. Were there other Indian individuals around, or like how was that for you?
Man, nah, I'm gonna keep it real. Like it was just black and white people. I was kind of mad. My cousin's like the only Indian people I got to talk to. So like at my age, you know what I'm saying? So like you got the older Indian folks and it's like, that's cool. Yeah, y'all dropping the house, but I can't relate to this. I'm like 7. Y'all 40. So like I need cousins my old age. So when I had time to kick it with my cousins, my Indian cousins, it was like, oh my gosh. But going to school, it was just black and white kids. I initially went to a private school, Christian school, where it was all white people. And yeah, let's just say it was a little rough during that time period. Especially when I haven't kicked it. I was like, oh, I have never been called so many names. I was confused on what name to go with. I'm black, I'm getting called this slur, but I'm also getting called this slur.
Yeah.
Which one am I? So you learn early on. However, when I did go to, I ended up going from private school to public school. And that's where it was more of a mix of people. And that's like, this is where I belonged at. This is how I always saw the world, like mixed up with so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, various beliefs. So, you know, you got the Gothic kids, the ghetto kids, the black kids, a couple of Asian kids over here. So I'm like, it's a whole new world. I'm exploring, asking questions. But I didn't grow up with a lot of Indian people till, in order to find Indian people or Asian people was, at least for me, I had to go to Ann Arbor, like 20 miles away.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, Asian people, Indian people. my people.
So how did your parents deal with the bullying and the racist remarks and things like that? Did they address those when you came home? You were like, I was called this and I was called that, and did they address them? Were they open about talking about?
Yeah. My dad keeps it one real. He kept it real. He was like, "Hey, so you might have to throw some hands, so we're gonna teach you how to box." So I was like, "All right, it is what it is."
Yeah.
So I learned some skills. I mean, I was able to scrap everywhere because I wasn't the most disciplined kid at the time. But it was like, all right, well, he said I got these, and he said, this is black household hood talk.
Yeah.
That's what he was told. If they bigger than you, you pick up a stick, you pick up a brick, and bust the fuck out of with it. And I was like, that makes sense. When I would, so dealing with like school at that one particular school, it was just like, it was a lot going on. So I just found like when I was talking to my dad, like, all right, well, y'all have some business. So as I was getting picked on, I was getting into fights like left and right. Like the principal was like, Emmanuel, my fighting machine. I'm like, bro, I'm just tired of this. Like, what's up? So I think when there was a little rebellious streak in me. I sat at this table that was where the high schoolers were at. I was 7th grade. It was huge. And everyone was scared, but I was like, I ain't scared. Like, I'm gonna sit at this table. And one of these big kids just threw me off the table right in front of the principal. Why do you want to sit over? Did you just see me get thrown? I didn't see anything. Okay, it's like that. Okay. My dad pulls up and he sees a kid that threw me. And my dad don't play no games. He's like, oh, you right over here? And so we started walking up. He said the kids start going like this. My mom had to get away like, whoa, stop. And so I was like, I was going to ask him, like, how you like me to pick your big and throw you across the table? How would you? Well, so my dad had some words. He actually, very smart man. He used it was a biblical school, so he used the Bible against him. And long story short, got the Bible teacher fired. Got the principal fired, like he wouldn't play no games. Using their book against them.
Yeah.
And then it was like, but one thing my dad did teach me early on with racism was, this when I was about 6 years old. I was at the school and there's a kid, his name was RJ.
Is this in the private school?
Yeah.
Where it was more, okay.
Public school, it was cool. It was like, it felt like you could hold your own. It was like everyone roasting each other. But here it was just like you getting picked on because, your culture or your color or whatever. When I was 5 or 6 years old, this kid, RJ was like, I said, I want to play with you. He's like, I don't want to play with you. Why not? And he looked at like, he was trying to find something to find out, and he couldn't think of something. So he looked at me and was like, I don't want to play with you because you're brown. Now, I didn't take it in a bad way. I took it as he could not find, he didn't want to play with me. He had to find a reason. But I told that story to my dad, and he was like, son, like, there's a level of like what people learn later in life is called racism. People won't like you because of a skin color. It doesn't make any sense. But let me tell you some real stuff. White people tan their skin to be your color. White people inject their lips to have your type of lips. White people do all this type of stuff to be your color. So at the end of the day, they really want to be like you. So you never hate your skin color, this and that. And he's like, and what I want to teach you is that people are just people. I don't want to teach you hate because that's what they would teach me where I grew up at. Oh, he called you that? Well, you know what? You got to call it this and this and go on. You can't have hate going on hate. So you have to understand that people are human and they're going to challenge you on your differences. And you have to learn to just be like, hey, hold your own, but you ain't got to fight that battle the same way. I always try to go with my mind.
That's awesome, man. That's great. That's great wisdom and stuff. Hopefully, if somebody hears that, they can pass that on. Because building a child's self-esteem, especially being multiracial, you're getting it from all angles. So, was there ever a time when you were in elementary school, middle school, where something came up, and say, for instance, it was a school project and you decided to do something that was more connected to your Indian Asian side, and people were questioning why you were doing that, and they just did not believe that you were part Indian?
So back in 6th grade, I was fascinated with my own history. So I was like, I don't know too much about India, so I want to do stuff about India. So I started learning about Hinduism, like how that all started. I learned how I wouldn't have known. I thought Buddhist was like Asian, actual like came from Asia. India. I learned about the whole Sahara. I can't name SG. That's what we call SG. But I learned about him, and I was like, oh snap! So I made a big giant project. I had to make a wall, talk about Taj Mahal, talk about Gandhi. It was this big project, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I got so much out of my history, even though I never being there. I was never really questioned about it because, again, it was like, I'm gonna be honest, it was a bunch of white kids. They really weren't that cultured in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like, we learned this one thing. We like acting this way to start political. Like, they was just like that.
Yeah.
So apparently I think I might have brought more seasoning to that environment with that information. But yeah, like when I went to public school, that's kind of when I kind of got a little bit more, a little edgier, a little bit more like I can hold my own wittier.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, man, so you Indian, right? Well, you work at 7-Eleven? I'm just like, oh, we doing this.
Yeah.
All right, no. So it's like
Yeah.
a battle. But that was like kind of my environment. My project was over there, and then I just kind of just established it with just, I'm interested. I want to go see what my country's all about and learn.
That's cool. So you had kind of a natural affinity to both cultures as far as like learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Especially at a young age. Did you have any type of internal, I guess, internal warring when you got older and you were like, okay, people see me, I present as a black individual. Did you have any struggle with your identity during middle school, your teenage years, high school at all?
For a quick second, I wasn't too bothered because Black and Indian people were like, in my eyes, they both black, they both brown. Like, they ain't really explain differences. But I mean, I think initially it was people asking me, it was more, it actually came more from white people than actually Black people. White people ask me, like, what side do you identify more with? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm just me.
Yeah.
What side though? I eat Indian food, and my dad on the weekend, if you got some time, when he at the crib, I'm eating soul food. And so when I went to like public school, I was more like Black people. It was like, they knew I was mixed, but I was like more Black in their eyes. Like, we knew you was mixed, bro, but like, we don't care. So I was more kind of like accepting that, or like, all right, a little bit different then. Like, I ain't got to explain too much. But I think for like 1 week, because I got tired of trying to, this is how it was. I got tired of trying to explain stuff to people, because when you're young, you kind of grew up in the neighborhood. Hood kids don't really know everything. It was like, you Black and Indian. I'm like, which Indian is you, bro? I'm Indian. Like, is you the Indian with the dot in their head? And I was over here like, I didn't take offense to it because I understood what they meant, because they didn't know the difference. They're like, we're visual, creatures. So I was over here like, the one with the dot, bro. That's what's up, bro. So what the fool like? And it got to the point where I was getting asked that so much that I was like, I'm just Egyptian, y'all. I was live like a whole week. What are you? I'm Egyptian. Didn't have time for it no more. But yeah, after that, I was like, nah, I'm Black and Indian. This is who I am. I mean, if you got questions, I get it. You might not have been outside of that. Let me tell you about the culture.
Yeah. And so you say you were Christian through, it sounds like through your mom's side. Your dad was Jehovah's Witness. Did you end up celebrating holidays and things like that? Or were there any, like holidays that you guys celebrated or?
No, not really. So my dad it was funny. My dad had a back and forth with religion. It was kind of back. He got to the point where it was like, I think from like, 3rd grade to 5th grade, he was like, yeah, I ain't doing this no more. I'm a born again in the day. So he was just, what do you call it? So I remember like, we could do trick or treat and do holidays. And all of a sudden he was like, yeah, y'all can't do that no more. It's demonic. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he gave us the whole spiel, so we couldn't do Halloween. And then my mom's trying to put a Christmas trip. That's paganism. It's like, and then so it wasn't until like later he was like, y'all can decorate the house. I just didn't care. I was brainwashed. That was it. Like, how we felt.
Yeah.
My mom and dad kind of came to this conclusion that in the household, like, they have their own, like, personal relationship with God in their own way, because they don't really like religion based on the community, what they saw. So they was like, you know what? Like, God knows my heart. We're praying to God do my thing. As for like Hindi holidays, we celebrate all American holidays, typical stuff, except Columbus Day. Except Columbus.
Sure.
But there wasn't too many, at least that I was aware of, Malayali holidays. Most of the stuff I learned about Hindi was more North Indian. So like, for instance, food. When my dad would say like, I don't like going to these Indian restaurants. How much she makes the best Indian food? I'm like, why? So every time I go to an Indian restaurant, I noticed they'd be serving naan or other types of food, or chicken masala or chicken tikka, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, bro. And they're like, you eat? So I'm like, no, see, we eat chapati, we eat papadum, idiyappam, paisam, biryani. I'm like, and I ain't seen none of these dishes. What's up? Come to find out, most American people are eating North Indian food. Indian food. So, That's what I learned, man. That's what I learned from all.
No, I don't think I've traveled over there, and even until I actually traveled to India for my friend's wedding, my college roommate's wedding, like I didn't realize just how vast it is. Like, just like the food, we clump everything together, and there's just so much. It's such a huge continent, and it's like so much going on there. Such a huge country. So did you speak any type of language or?
Funny story. So it started back with, my dad was trying to learn a little bit of Malayalam. My mom was teaching him a little bit. And so he's picking up some words. He's kind of good at it. And then apparently he decided to abuse his power because he was with, my mom's sister, my aunt, and my umachi. And apparently, I don't know what he said, but he put together some nasty sentence. And they're like, "Oh my God, who taught you that?" And they looked at my mom. My mom was like, and then she took off like, you done, it's a wrap. That's it. So, apparently the apple don't fall far from the tree. Because I was like, "Hey, Mom, like, how you say this word?" "Okay, that's how you say that? Okay, how you say this word?" Brain started putting stuff together. And I remember I put like 2 words together. I was like, "Naka Andi." And she was like, "I'm not teaching you no more. It's like your father. You're like your father. I'm done." Cut me off too.
How do you approach what people call right now microaggressions, and like when you were growing up, seem to have self-awareness at a pretty young age, as far as like, giving these other kids like grace for, they just don't know, But if you could pass that on to kids, maybe I grew up around a lot of white kids in Wyoming, and they would say things about Latin, ex-Mexican guys, like, how would you pass on to kids, teenagers, about if somebody says this to you, how would you diffuse it or turn it, or in a way that might, because we could probably come up with some pretty, some sarcastic ways for sure.
But there's a wise way of doing it.
Yeah. Wisdom, share your wisdom.
Well, first thing I learned was people will try to say, 2 things. One, I grew up in Michigan, so we didn't deal with microaggressions. It was straight verbal combat. You know what was being said to it. So having that, it was macroaggression. And then, if you were 360, a kid that played Xbox 360, let's just say you developed tough skin in that community. So when I came out here in California, it was weird because I learned about microaggressions, and people I'm like, "You never heard those racial slurs and terms before?" People go, "No, they don't say that." I'm like, "I be prepared. Like, as soon as someone says something micro, I'm looking like, "Oh, what you trying to say, Susan?" What you trying to say? It's not, you getting uncomfortable, huh? Well, what you just kind of put that on them. But that's different about it. The way I taught myself was, I used to imagine a situation where I'll go with this. A white person will call a black person the N-word, right? And the response is, the black person's supposed to get mad, get outraged, those things. And then let's say he assaults the white dude, and the white dude's like, "Come on, I got you, buddy."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's dumb. I'm not going to get caught in that trap. So basically, I learned how to be a little bit more wittier and clever. Like, so that's the only thing you have in your arsenal is that specific word. Have you seen all the words I have? I have so many. They had nothing to say, but that's how I developed wit. But I learned to not let that. People want a reaction out of you. They always sort of reaction. They want you to have a prediction. They call you this is how you're going to react. And when you don't react that way, they don't know what to do. They get powerless. They don't know what to say. That it's supposed to work. I see that, and they'll keep saying it to get a trigger out of you. But if it doesn't bother you, and you keep it pushing, they feel like, so they're gonna try to disrespect you and stuff like that. You're looking like, "Bro, you got a problem? What's the issue? Oh, you think that's gonna affect that little word? You gave that word so much power. You thought it was gonna work for somebody, but it didn't work for me because power.
Yeah.
What's up?" And they feel like really small, and it's like, and they're not really creative. They're not creative. Like, there's so many you call me, that'd be funny and witty, but it's like you're gonna stick to that one to 3 words and try to get reactions. It don't work, so you feel defeated. So now you might have to go with well, and it's like, look, it's a 20-year-old acting like a 5-year-old right there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at Johnson.
Yeah.
I'd say control your emotions. Be aware that people will say those things.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to not react, but respond to it?
Mm.
You learn that you can respond. You start seeing options of how to go about it. This person's trying to get a reaction out of me. How do I want to respond? Do I want to A, call him a name, B, walk away, C, I have options. In fact, I can take my time. You know, just like
yeah, I love that.
Really?
I love that. Yeah, because I think you hit it on the head. I think, they want a reaction. They think they're going to get this one reaction, and then it's just when you have options and you think about it, take a pause and then react in a way that is just not what they're expecting. It's like blows their mind, so.
We don't play chess, baby.
Yeah. What was your friend groups like? Was there a mix, or how did you mingle?
Oh man, I mingle with everybody. I was always a curious kid. Till this day, I'm a curious person and all. So my friend group, I can say like growing up in elementary school, I didn't really have too many friends. I was straight loner, just like tried some, they ain't your friend, son. Bet. So it wasn't like after like middle school, high school, where I started just kind of vibing. Like, well, one, it's kind of messed up, but I'd say when you hang around a bunch of white kids, you get culture in that culture. And I was like, kind of this again because I was exposed to it. This is what a fan is. This is what the barbershop is. They didn't teach me none of this. Well, I cut your own hair, son, but you didn't teach me about the barbershop. So, like, kind of get that back. Like, okay, I'm in my culture. I feel comfortable. And then my friend group started to be like friends that was trying to do their own things. Like, I guess I'm around kids that would like, they like rap music culture and stuff like that. But I was kind of hanging out with more of the outside black kids. Like, y'all like anime? You listen to techno? Hold on, bro. You out here? You ain't doing what the group does. Cause one of the things I learned early in 8th grade was when the day of the age when people had baggy pants that was sagging. And stuff. And so I remember asking this one kid, I was like, hey bro, like, why you sag your pants? He's like, cause the style, bro. I'm like, don't it feel uncomfortable? I mean, cause I tried it for like literally 2 hours and that's just, I had to pull my stuff. This ain't it, man. That's the style, bro. I'm like, so if everyone changed their style tomorrow, then I changed my style too. And I was like, this is the mentality of the masses. Wow. They don't even have a thought of like what they do.
Yeah.
So if you want to be black, you got to listen to rap music, stand your I'm not doing nothing. I don't give a shit doing me. So I kind of formed my own group of like kids that did their own stuff. And then from there, we kind of stood out. I had my little off phone group, my little nerdy friends, my artistic friends, my rebellious friends. And then I was kind of just bouncing around from everyone. I kicked it with the white kids, kicked it with the nerdy kids, kicked it with like every variety. So I just absorbed that. By the time I got to college, my college was a bit interesting. I was like, most of these people are not my people. I'm gonna with the nerds. They were cool. There was more real combination. There was real conversation that's more vulnerable. I say like, I go talk to the jock kids. I was cool with everyone, but I'm like, go talk to the jock kids. They were just like, yeah, man. So me and Bethany, we got all that. And then I got Ashley and her. I'm like, no, yeah, okay, that's cool. I go talk to nerdy kid. Man, like, I ain't gonna hold you up. I was on the internet and I just had a little ebony binge. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, so I attracted more real people from any, I attracted real people no matter what color they were. But I wasn't interested when they had international students. I was rap. You're from China? I was following like, what's it like over there? We had a black kid that had an English accent. Hold on, bro. Say it again. I was that guy. So my friend group was very diverse. Until this day, it's even more diverse.
So your mom, you mentioned early on that her parents kind of had her on that, like the immigrant track. Basically, is like you're going to be one of these particular professions. What was that like in your house as far as your mom and dad guiding you, towards something as far as like a profession or college or other things like that?
So initially, I think my dad kind of pushed it on me a little bit more than my mom. So my mom kind of just, I liked art. I was always the artistic kid, just loved creating stuff. So did my dad, but my dad was like, hey, you gonna be a doctor. I'm like, why? Like, what? And mom was trying to be whatever. She's trying to do this or this and that. And so I'm like, but that's someone else should be putting on me. So I was like, all right, fine. So I was trying to go for being like a plastic surgeon. That was a goal. And so, I was just like, all right, most money doing what? You be celebrities, cool. Like, you'll be set. And then, so that was a goal. And initially, what was the case? So I didn't understand how the college system all worked. Cause everyone's like, you gotta go to Harvard. You gotta go to this. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. You gotta apply and pay money and do what? So I was like, the smart thing is my mom's in this college right now. And she says she know all the teachers. I would just go to her college and she don't put me the right teachers and I'll just go through the nursing program. And she told me straight up, she was like, hey son, like you can go to school for pre-med, but I suggest you go for nursing. Why? Because you got to take an MCAT test to get into the actual medical school. And if you fail that, you'll have a degree based as use pre-med. So if you do nursing, you can still study it, but if you fail, you go nurse anesthetist or nurse practitioner. And they still make it. I was like, you smart, mom. I got you. So I was starting that journey. I did my first 2 years in college, taking the general classes and stuff. And at the same time, I was doing CNA for nurse aid. I just kind of
yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I paid $500 and failed the test 3 times. They said, well, you got to pay another $500. And I was like, bro, I'm like 18. How hard is it to get another $500? I was over here like depressed, sad. And my dad cheered me up. He was like, hey, boy, you go some hot chips. Here go a little cold one. And we go play some video games. We go kill things, talk about it. And then we going to feel better. We going to figure it out. Yeah. From there, I was like, we're going to do marketing. So they was cool with that. They was cool with that.
Yeah.
But things took a turn. I discovered how to make videos. I made a video.
Were you out of Michigan doing this right now? You're still in Michigan?
I was still in Michigan. This was 2012. I started making video, and I made a very unique video talking about my culture, the hood. And, I posted on the internet. People was dying laughing. And then my mom found out because my aunt snitched on me. I found out that it was you that started it. And the whole family said, what is he doing with his life? What is he doing? Why is I saying these things? And my dad was like, boy, what is wrong with you? I mean, it was funny. It was funny. It was hella funny. But really? And my mom was like, I don't know where you're going with this. I'm like, well, I'm going to keep making more. People at school dying laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, keep making more. So I started making more. My dad was like, hey, I think you wanted something, son. I think you need to tap into this a little bit more. So my Indian side of the family was all terrified because, I'm making these politically incorrect jokes that are hilarious observations. And they was like, I don't know, he's destroying his life. No corporation wants to work with him. And I'm like, it's funny because I'm seeing other people doing this and people want to work with them because they're consistent and disciplined.
Yes.
So that's kind of my journey went from doctor to whatever I'm trying to be to video person, to storyteller.
And that was post high school you were doing those, or were you doing those in high school? And
I did it like after high school.
Okay, yeah. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like you were doing them. You did it. Like you kind of found that after the CNA.
Yeah, once that it was.
So is that what brought you to LA then?
So I was actually when I started making videos, it started being like YouTube videos, and then I started making event videos. And people like shoot music videos. Then I ended up being like an actual producer on a failed show that didn't come out. So from there, I realized when I was talking to these people, everybody was trying to figure out, but they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the terminology. And I feel like I was hitting the ceiling. So by April of 2019, there was a dude, Slander, shout Slander. Slander, hooked me up. It was like, hey man, I've been traveling outside of Michigan. I started going someplace. And if you really try to take this to the next level of new series, you got to be in a different environment. I would suggest going to Miami, New York, or LA because you try to do that. After we had that conversation, I swear, from October, I was gone. I jumped straight to, I saved my money, went to LA. My plan was we going to figure it out. I just need to be there. And I know my personality to attract people.
Yeah.
Go make it work. So I pulled up to LA and we just started running.
Awesome. So what'd you end up doing then?
So I ended up coming out here. My college friends were here. So I had to move with them. And, one was influenced, actually, two of them were influencers. One was actually creating content on his own time. So I started studying from them, but then I kind of broke off from that and started actually let me explore the city myself because I don't know what's going on. And I'm the only person that's like, let's go outside. I'm going outside. I started being involved with the basketball scene because my friend was doing basketball influencing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Detroit, I met this band at Motor City Casino. They're like, we're from LA. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to pull up with you and see y'all. And I pulled up and saw him. So I got involved in their scene. I was meeting all these musicians. And then the last thing was I was on I was messing around on Hinge. And then I was DTF down the front. So I was friending people because I was like, I need to know what's going around the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Girls hooked me up with a film lady that did so much film. So I was with a whole bunch of film students. They were teaching me well, here's the technicals. Here's this, and then there's this, what this term means. And I was like, thank you. I needed this. And I just started absorbing everything like a sponge. So, yeah.
And so you have a company, is it pronounced Akiyoshi?
Akiyoshi, yeah.
Akiyoshi. Tell us about Akiyoshi.
So Akiyoshi is actually a clothing and visual art company made for like very creative artists, people that just are, they don't fit in, the misfits, the creatives, all that type of stuff. So I understand what it's like when sometimes you could be told like, oh, you're trying to be an artist, you're trying to follow your goals, or you don't fit in. Man, that's why you ain't gonna make it. And those are some of the most smartest people because they see the world in a certain viewpoint than most people do. And so I want to actually bring all those people together, and it's like a place or a spot where we can actually create clothes that represent that community. And it's also like, yo, you like art? We got fine art, baby. Let's put it out here. So that's the community I'm actually reaching out to with Akiyoshi as it grows.
And where did the name come from?
I had to make it up. It started off as Black Sheep. Shout out to Lisa Patrick. But it actually started off as Black Sheep, but the problem was everyone had Black Sheep. It was not it was so long to really kind of understand the name. So I was like, dang, what can we do? So I came with Akiyoshi because I was like, well, snap. I do like a little bit of anime, and then I know some of the hood kids because they ain't gonna pronounce the whole thing. But would it sound sweet? Like, hey, bro, you rocking them Yoshi jeans, bro? And I was like, yeah, I need some slang with my stuff. And what Akiyoshi stands for, it's a Japanese name, but it stands for stand out, right? Stand out clearly. So I was like, that's the whole point. You're supposed to stand out, and you're supposed to fit out. One of my late friends used to say, when I fit in, that's how I know I failed because my job is to fit out.
I love that. That's awesome, man.
That's what I represent.
And I could see now the influence on, the anime and things growing up that, are in your art. And, yeah. So what else do you do as an artist, and what are like some of your favorite mediums?
So what I currently do right now is I actually got done, I was actually a producer and a writer for, what do you call it? Bionic Battlegrounds. So actually we just sat down and started writing ideas down, and then we actually produced it. So I actually made that for him. I do a lot of producing work. I was working with this company called Chime TV. It was like supposed to be like the Asian BET. So it's like okay, we got Asian American channels out here. So I was doing that, but right now I'm focusing on mixed messages. I'm just getting that conversation started. But I found how that even started in the first place was my friend Yasna. I met her at one of these events, and then she invited me for a get together. And what was fascinating about it is after I pulled up, I started having conversations. I was like, wait, hold on, bro. So you Black and Filipino, you Black and Japanese, you Black and Vietnamese, you Black and Chinese, I'm Black and Filipino. I had to back up like, I was confused. Like, what happens in Michigan? And so the more I started talking, the more we started having like very relatable conversations. Yeah, like I'm Black and Filipino. We both like fried chicken. I'm like fried chicken. So I was like, you know what? We have to have a discussion to talk about this type of stuff because, so that's one of my main focuses. And my other medium is TikTok. So I started telling stories, real life stories. People be thinking like, oh, bro, like, no, my life is very rich and wild, and it was a little chaotic. But I started doing story times about just all these scenarios when I was an Uber driver, when I was minding my own business. My one friend told me, did you tell a story? We almost got shot and arrested. And I was looking like, I promise you, I didn't do anything. I just wrong place, wrong time. So people were very entertained by that. So I took that ability of storytelling to like mediums. So.
And what besides anime, like as you got into, a little bit older in high school, like what other influences did you have as far as like who you liked as storytellers? Were there both Black and Asian, East Indian storytellers that you liked, or what were you drawn to?
My dad came home with some Dave Chappelle DVDs, corrupted the whole family. We wouldn't say certain words, but now he brought it in. He was corrupted, even him.
Yeah.
It was that. It was the Boondocks. It was Russell Peters. So
I got Russell Peters. Yeah.
So, and a little bit of Carlos Mencia. So, that was in South Park. It was like, so basically that's where my sense of creativity and humor came from. I'm looking like, yes, I know I'm mischievous. It's all in good play, but I mean, if you got those influences, you're very observational. You're going to talk your smack.
Yeah.
That's how
So interestingly, were you using the term Black and Asian when you were younger, or because I know that a lot of times there was with the evolution of the way we've categorized individuals, especially with I think now it's I think it's Native American Indian Month, but like when we have the months that, like Black History Month, and like before it was East Indian, wasn't really like in that Asian population, or we didn't consider that. Was that something that your family, did they consider or say, hey, we're Asian too when you were younger? Like, did you grow up with that knowledge?
No, it was like Indian. Like, he's like, you got Indian, you got like Asian people. And you could tell because the Indians are darker and the Asians are more, yellow complexion. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's just what we saw, like the shade.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I got light skin and dark skin, like, I get that. But it was just like, you could just kind of tell the difference based on the features. And I was like, yeah, Indians don't look like most Asian people. So I came out here to California where I learned that everything was a little bit more, what do you call it?
Nuanced?
Not balanced. It's more, so I think being in Michigan, it was just like black, white, Asian, simple. But that's like, no, it's like coming to California, it was more like, no, it's actually Irish, German.
Yeah.
I was looking like, okay, this makes sense. And I'm kind of like looking at each culture a little bit more, like, because one thing I learned about what a lot of Asian people didn't like was the Asian monolith. It makes it different. But if you grew up in Detroit, Michigan, you're looking like, what's the difference? Because you haven't been exposed. We've been exposed. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm like, so even more like, this is even some cultures and other cultures. So that's what we didn't really celebrate, like AAPI month and stuff like that. We knew about Black History Month because that's what told to us, but I didn't really know about that until I got here.
Yeah. Do you, what do you think is the beauty in that gray area, or the nuances in race, ethnicity, and the way, the categories are much bigger than just black and white? Like, to you, what's the beauty in that?
I think it's amazing because, well, it's like Russell Peters said, by 2050, everyone's going to be beige. But I'll just quote what he said, but yeah. It was, I think it's very beautiful. I think it takes away like those barriers of like, you got to deal with the older generation based on what they're raised. You know how to deal with this, like, even the black side. Your own race, like, what's wrong with you? It's like, well, always those extreme pro people, and they just got to learn to live with that stuff. But then you got the people like the Venn diagram. This is how I look at it. Yeah. Airport got that middle group, and I'm in that little middle group. So I think it's beautiful. I think more cultures come together. I think I met a lady that was Mexican and Japanese, and I was like, hold on, what? Would be slapping. I didn't pull up. Blend I never heard of. And I was like, so that is amazing. That's beautiful. To be able to go to your Mexican side, your Japanese side, for me, to be able to go to my black side and then go to my Indian side. For anyone that actually can live in the middle, is like you experience the best of both worlds. Yeah. So I love that. But I did have a friend, and this was kind of interesting. He gave me his perspective. One of my black friends, he was like, that's one thing I don't appreciate about some of these mixed people, is because they try to talk about the mixed struggle. But the thing is, I don't like the fact that we'll say black and white kid. The white kid's going to act, white in front of his friends, and he's going to act black. And I don't like that. Like, either just pick where you stand. And I understand where you're coming from. It makes sense. I understand from both sides. Like, they kid can feel a little uncomfortable. So he has to act that certain way because he's not comfortable with his skin. But then how it looks to someone else is like, why are you switching up all the time? I don't know. Be who you are. And if that's one message I can say is like, I agree. You should be who you are. You're both those people. Like, you're going to piss someone off because you simply exist. That's just what it is to be human. And just because you're both of those things. Your parents, look, I always tell you this, I say this. You didn't ask to be here, but your parents reproduced and now you're here. You got to figure it out. Sorry, buddy. So, like, own who you are. Own this. It's not, I honestly believe this. You're just a spirit or a soul that inhabits a human body, which is a bunch of arranged in different ways. And the world told us brown is black, beige is white. And I'm like, no. That's dumb that a bunch of people don't to make these rules that we practiced on a generation. It's stupid. We're different shades of wheat. We're humans. We have the same desires. You can put this on a white person body, Muslim person, or what do you call it? Arab person body, anybody. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to talk back. So that's how I feel with the whole thing.
No, that's great. I love that. I love that. As far as, has it impacted your romantic relationships, who you're attracted to? I haven't really ever asked that to one of my guests, as far as, sometimes people be like, oh yeah, I'm only attracted to like white people, or I'm only attracted to this, so.
I'm trying to, I got my upper chin. I keep hearing this voice.
And there's no right answer for this one. There's no,
no answer was, His answer is I had to clean it up because it was too raw. It was too raw.
Yeah.
But he just told me that everyone's basically pink on the inside. So you know about it. So go for what you want, son. And that's me. It's like if you're a human, I don't care what color you are. My dad said different parts fit together in the way it's supposed to fit. So it's everything just the shade of the skin. So just roll with it. Person, they got a good spirit, roll with it. So I'm always open to everybody.
And are you more your mom or your dad as far as your personality? Like what one thing did you get from your dad that you really cherish, and what's one thing that you got from your mom?
I got my dad's mannerism and mischievous humor. I got my mom's heart and compassion. My dad, as he like to say, hey son, that a-hole gene is quite strong. It's there. It's there, but it's my mom's like patience and grace and I had. So a lot of those internal qualities. I'm able to be humorous, crack jokes, give people a good time, get that from my dad, attract those kind of people. But as for internally, I get those things I know how to listen, be patient, get people's space, understand. So it's weird how the external is my dad, the internal is more my mom.
Yeah, that's great. And so what is something that you could pass on to in your wisdom to others on ways that maybe they can expand their awareness of other cultures, those closed-minded individuals? What has worked for you that has opened your awareness to other cultures that you may have stereotyped or that you may have generalized?
Well, I'm direct and I ask questions. People are scared to ask. That's one thing I learned. Yeah. People are scared to ask questions. I went to I'll break it down two things. One, I went to an Armenian spot a few weeks ago, and so I didn't know anything about Armenian culture. I ain't know nothing about it. I'm looking like, wait, I know Kim Kardashian, but I see the flag to me. So I pull up, the dude seems kind of cool. I'm asking a bunch of questions like, what's the culture? What's this? I don't know. And then I know my homie was like, hey man, what if they got a hookah spot? And I'm like, all right. And then I asked the question that he and he's like, I don't know any hookah spots. I don't smoke. I'm like, okay, well shit, I know. I don't know. I'm not trying to generalize. I just don't know. So I come from a place of curiosity, but my friend man, the way you asked that question could have been racist. Like, what are you talking about? Basically, it's equivalent to asking a black person, so do you eat fried chicken? Do you like fried chicken? And I'm like, don't project that on me, because that wasn't my intent. And if he has a problem, he would say something. And then clarify right there. So my approach has always been direct with curiosity. And what I think growing up was this hair. So white hair, black people hair, it was like, as a kid, you're curious. When I was a kid, I always was curious what a white person's hair felt like, because it didn't feel like mine. And I'm sure the same way. But as adults, it was taught to me that you don't let no white person touch your hair. Well, yeah, I like to give people permission. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be just touching my hair. And so I remember I was at a bar working, and this white woman was like, hey, can I touch your hair? It looks so amazing. It's afro. I was like, yeah. So she started touching it. And then there's two black patrons on the side just looking at me judging me. I'm like, it ain't your hair. Get your, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Idea that, but she asked. But what was crazy was literally the same day, some old black lady just dumped her hands in my hair without even asking, like your hair. And I'm like, isn't this fascinating? Black people want to judge me for the white girl do, but they just digging their head, I'm not going to put that in the whole race, but you know what I'm saying? That's just.
Yeah. So what is being multiracial given you as far as, I would say as a superpower, but as far as a heightened awareness that you feel has given you an advantage in your relationships in this world?
Perspective. Yeah. It gave me my perspective where it's like I grew up with a bunch of suburban white people and black people and Indian people. So now I'm seeing culture right there from three different groups. And then the ability to make humor out of it. If you can make jokes, that means you're highly intelligent because your observation, you're seeing how people walk, talk, speak, and all that. So I was kind of studying that, mimicking it, cracking jokes. And then it was like, okay, I know how to mimic and crack jokes, but I need to expand more. How are Asian people like? What's the Arab community like? What's this like? What's the food like? And for me, it's always fun to really learn. Even religion, my boy was Somali. I ain't know nothing about Somalians. And I had questions, and he was Muslim. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. People tell you well, you should stay away from that. You don't know. It's like, people don't know. I don't believe being a worldly man, but I believe being a man of the world. And the world's so vast and cultural, it's like, well, I got 75 plus years to live. I'm going to learn as much as I can and ask questions. So that's what I say. Ask questions. Don't be afraid of asking questions. And just, if you feel, and don't overthink it, just ask. And if someone gets mad, hey man, I don't know. No one's taught me this. I grew up here. Well, that makes sense. And what you expect, like, you think I'm asking you as a black man or an Indian person because I grew up in this community and they ain't really had none of that.
Yeah.
Could you give me some grace? And they'll hopefully look in your eyes like, oh, he don't know. Okay, let me show you the ways. You invited the cookout. Only takes one time to see what the culture is. And we'll judge you from there.
So that brings me to you run a show, mixed messages, or a video series. What are some of the things you've learned, and tell the listeners a little bit about the show?
So the show is actually a bunch of Asian people or Black and Asian kids that have grown up in America and started like understanding what it's like to grow up in this type of society, where we noticed that Asian people put this type of, or like the Asian community will put this kind of pressure on us. Like, oh, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. And then you have the Black side. It's like, oh, you are cool, but hold on. Y'all don't really fit. You're not really Black. You don't understand the struggle. So you are the line of like seeing both sides, and then people telling you, oh, you're happier, this and that, which is crazy. My friend Yaz, she had the whole that like I'm 100% Asian or Japanese. And at first I was like, this land campaign about it here, like, you know, because I'm just like, what? And then it made sense. I listened to it. She said, because other people define your identity. They want to tell you what you are based on their perspective. But if you tell them I'm both, they're like, no, you're not, you're half, you're this, you're that. It's like, no, this is who I am. And you can back up with all that. I'm not accepting that. And so people get mad. And I started posting the videos conversation. And it's fascinating. From observation, from seeing, a lot of Black people been coming at just the conversation talking about, well, you don't understand how colorism works. Yes, I'm a Black man in America. I'm mixed. But my dad would say this: if you boys want to know what color you are, go ask that white man what you is. He gonna tell you straight up.
Yeah.
So if you go by that standard, it's like, go tell someone you don't understand colorism and this and that, and that's those pro people. You know, there's the extremes. Yeah. Never like the extremes, because it's like you can't be so close-minded and stuck out without, because that means you're not letting in new information. You're closing people off, you're closing new things off, and then you're cultivating a new generation of people stuck in that mindset without really seeing the world. You can always stick with your own race, no swirling, no this, that's just it. When we're all human. If you're trying to both understand, like my folks, you know, they had to deal with cultural clashing, but because they love each other, they create a new generation that actually understands and wants to connect with both cultures, that want to actually be the bridge. So with me, I want us to be the bridge between the Black and Asian cultures. And as I've been learning, other cultures as well start somewhere. Well, like I learned the Mexican community. There's a whole colorism stage on that. And I was like, yeah, like the Black people, the Spaniards are like the white people. So now I'm like able to like kind of like make, you know, oh, that kind of makes sense. Different cultures.
Yeah.
So it's helped me get such an expansion on how we live as people in the world, how this type of either colorism or even racism exists in other cultures. And it's the same battle that we're all dealing with. And how can we bridge that in those conversations to make people like really just be curious, really ask questions, have these real conversations, because no one's doing it.
Yeah.
No one's doing it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And where'd you get the curiosity from? Your mom or your dad or both? Or
I think honestly both. But my dad always seemed to be open-minded. I think the first thing I was exposed to was sushi. And he took me to the restaurant, and I was like 5 or 6, and I was like, raw fish, ew, that's nasty. He's like, you gotta try before you gotta try new things. I don't want my kids to be. So I think that was the very first instance of curiosity, to be open-minded. And then I would take us different places, different experiences, my dad would, and they always tell us like, just be open-minded to things and don't be closed-minded. And one thing I always learned was, I don't want to be an old person stuck in their way. I get like, but I also believe that rely on your life experience, but also realize that experience can also limit you, because sometimes you gotta be like, you gotta listen to your instinct and your intuition. Sometimes your experience can be way off.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome, man. Bringing the nuggets, man. You're bringing the nuggets. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up with the question I ask everyone: is what's your recipe for world peace?
Oh, you had to hit me with something deep. Man, all right. My recipe for world peace. It's challenging, man. It's challenging because I know human nature. I know we had people that try to put peace. We had Jesus and Gandhi. I'd say the best way to establish peace is for people to actually communicate with each other and show how we're very similar. I think we have to understand that we're not black, white, or a flag or a nation, but we're actually human. Before I'm a man or a woman, I'm a human. And that we have those emotions, we have this, and we're trying to navigate this world. Once we kind of understand that we're just human, then we kind of understand that a lot of this stuff is very universal. Happiness, joy. So from there, once we kind of have that, it's like being open. Hey, man, so, I mean, I know you believe this. I know this person believes that, but if I was dying, would you save me? Of course. Cool. We have a level of empathy. And we have to build through that kind of those ways. Human empathy, compassion, kindness. Not everyone's going to get it.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a never-ending war. But I'd say that you have to really just be kind. Be a very kind, understanding, and patient person, like as an individual. And you'd be surprised how that's contagious to other people. They might be a little rough, but the more you're around, the more you influence. So start with being the individual. You're a human. Be kind to the next person. Be empathetic. Understand that they have families too. The reason they're probably acting this way has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with something going on in their life. How do you act when you're stressed? Well, that's how they act when they're stressed. Once you kind of get that perspective, you're a little more patient. You'll get picked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love your personality and the curiosity, and you have a nice energy as far as your open-mindedness. Like where did you learn that? Because that's something that I think, I don't know, is it something that you just always had? Is it something that you sought out and you read books or you see a therapist or you do other things? Where do you get the balance or the energy that is you?
I watch a lot of anime and cartoons, but also what I love about this things that there's always parables. That's one thing I like about the Bible. There's always a parable. And cartoons and anime always have like some sort of parable. You see the hero go through struggles and this and that, and he was always resilient. And so I used to be very shy, and it was like, I'm missing opportunities out here. Like, I realized that there's so many people that are just as shy, or they just don't believe. I say believe. That's the thing I say. A lot of people don't believe in themselves. They have these talents. They have this. They don't even see the abilities that they can do. A lot of people are so powerful, don't even realize their words, their actions, what they do, how they inspire the next person. And the biggest thing I realize is this: belief is one of the most powerful things in the universe. But what does that make you apply to yourself? And that's what I believe. And I say it's a strong level of belief that I can do it. It's a strong level of belief of, like, most people won't say it, so why not just stand down and say it? Because I was a kid in school that everyone would think it, but no one would say it. But I say it. At that point, let's keep doing it. Trust me, being outspoken sometimes did get me in trouble. You got courage, some confidence comes in. If you know what you're talking about. So that's kind of where that came from. Talking a lot of older people, getting some wisdom from cartoons and stories, and understanding that at a very young age. Like, there's a story about, there's a message behind this, a message behind that. It gave me more mature perspective of the world. Like, all right, me and you, have fun. We only here for 45 plus years. Do it big. And when we get old, we're going to use bad language and be ourselves anyway. So.
Oh man, I'm so glad I hit you up this morning. It was one of those things where, I see you all the time on Instagram. You jumped into my mind. I was like, I think he'll go for it if I reach out, like if he has some time. And not only that, right, like I said, you're ready to drive across LA, man, like, which is just like,
let me think. Let's get you at 12:30.
I appreciate you, Manny. Where can people find you on the internet and anywhere else, man?
It's Manny W. So it's ITS. It's Manny, MANNIE, not YIEW. It's Manny W.
Awesome. On Instagram, TikTok, it works.
YouTube. We're still trying to build that page up.
And you have a web page too.
I do have a web page. The website is MannyWilliams.com.
Manny Williams.
And if you
want
the Blasian experience, mixed messages.
Yeah. Is that what else you working on? You have anything else that's coming out that you're working on that you want to promote?
Besides Akiyoshi and mixed messages and Bionic Battlegrounds, other projects are kind of on the lid right now.
Cool.
This stuff, but I'll say those three things for right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And I'll share those links with his picture and his bio on the site, and then along with this recording. And it's been my pleasure, Manny. Thank you so much. Is that a vision board back there, or is that just pictures back there?
It's a vision board.
Well, what do we got up there that you've done this year that you've envisioned, man? I love those things.
Let me see. And it's for sure. There's people I handpicked that I want to work with specifically. And somehow those doors kind of opened, and it's like, well, we're working together. I don't throw it out there. It's starting to happen. So things are coming together. I think I finished about 2 months ago. So filming, there's scripting, there's acting. I'm already kind of like getting my hands into all that, just piece it together. Yeah, man, it's funny how you kind of subconsciously can program your brain if you see it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Have a great day.
You too.
This episode of the Multiracialverse podcast is brought to you by Eviton Couture, a brand born from a powerful vision and a deep connection to heritage. Founded by Shinnecock brothers Jason Tech King and Wayon Moon Smith, Eviton represents resilience and pride. From handmade tie-dye to wellness-focused athletic wear, each piece is crafted with intention and positivity, smudged with sage for good vibes, and delivered to you with love. Join the Eviton family on their journey of empowerment and inspiration. Hit up Moon on Instagram at Eviton_KS. That is native spelled backwards _KS to view product and place an order. Eviton Couture. Feel the spirit of resilience in every stitch. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Huge shout out to my friend Johannes Skoda for mixing and creating the intro music, and DJ Kazam for the track.